Okay, Diddy.
Yes. That's Diddy.
You are probably, after speaking with so many people very close to the situations, people who have just been around, you've heard the random miscellaneous stories. Diddy today, or actually yesterday, cleared his Instagram out.
Yes.
I personally believe that Diddy I'm in preparation mode for this indictment. I've hopefully been speaking to the feds, making sure they know I was never a flight risk. Hopefully, whenever I get arrested, I could be out on bond for this, even though there's a possibility he can't. But I think he's in, I know I'm going to be indicted mode. Let me operate as such. What do you think? You've talked to so many people. You've talked to the bodyguards. You've talked to everything. What do you think is happening?
Well, there's a grand jury happening right now. And a grand jury, 99% of the time, leads to an indictment. Because a grand jury is a process that can go on for months. And you can continuously introduce new evidence, new witnesses, and so forth. You can keep going almost forever until the jury feels there's enough information to indict. And Diddy doesn't have his lawyers present during the grand jury, so there's no one to say this person
isn't telling the truth.
Isn't telling the truth. This is a complete lie. This document is false. They're just bringing one side, a trial with only one side. So he's going to be indicted. I'm 99% sure that he's going to be indicted. Now, what happens after that? Who knows? Me personally, I don't know why people stick around to go to prison. Like, if I was Diddy,
you think he should leave?
If I knew at age 50, 55 or so?
Yeah.
At 55.
Is that even possible? He has to know. I imagine, by the way, they covered it. They said, hey, he was in Florida this whole time. Remember, they called him at Opelika executive. That's the private jet airport in Florida. So apparently he was going to go to Bahamas on vacation. They stopped him there. He canceled that. He's been in Florida the whole time. But recently he popped up in L.A. Yeah. They believe that he probably told the federal authorities, I'm not running. Because you got to imagine, if he is on the manifest of a jet, and if that shit says international, they're investigating him. They're going to arrest him immediately because they're going to say, we're going to...
But can they arrest him? They can't arrest him until they have an indictment. That's what I'm saying.
No. They can't arrest him pertaining what he will be indicted for. But they could...
They can't arrest him. If you're not indicted, you can't be arrested.
Vlad, can't...
You can't be arrested.
Vlad. You have 100 kilos of coke in your car.
Yeah.
Right? They know you got the kilos of coke in your car, but they don't necessarily have the substantive proof to just have a search warrant to go in your car. You know what they do?
They already got the search warrant.
No, they don't. Hold on.
That's when they raided the house.
Wait. No. But I'm just giving an example. You know what they do? They tell local. I watch all these body cam video channels. I love them. I don't know why. They tell local law enforcement, pull them over for a traffic infraction. I guess what I'm trying to say, if the feds have any inkling that they feel Diddy's going to leave, they're going to get him in custody for anything. Anything. Hey, they might even tap Broward County. Hey, remember that drug mule that we caught on the plane that we just gave a felony to? We're going to just file drug charges on him to make sure he doesn't leave?
Yeah, they can try, but ultimately his lawyer is going to say this is bullshit. I want my client out and the charges dropped. And then at that point, he could do whatever he wants. Like, at the end of the day, I see what you're saying, but he still has his passport.
Yeah, they're not going to cancel I'm pretty sure.
He still has his passport. When he's indicted, they're going to take his passport.
Vlad, you don't think that the feds are basically, we're not talking about some people who are just some lower level people who don't know what the feds are doing.
No, it's the feds.
Well, not only the feds, but his attorneys are speaking with the feds. Clearly.
I'm sure they are.
They have to, right? I'm pretty sure they say, hey, listen, his passport isn't suspended. We're not saying he can't leave the country, but we highly suggest he doesn't.
Well, right, because if he leaves the country, and if he goes someplace where there's no extradition policy, like Russia, he is going to look a certain type of way already. Just like when OJ jumped in the Bronco and was driving down the freeway, right? OJ still won, but they had to get over that. That was a big hurdle.
He didn't get bond on that, did he? He got bond, right?
No, he was in jail the whole time.
Oh, okay. See, well, that's the thing. And I think,
wait. Yeah, he turned himself in.
Okay, but that's also a thing too, though.
He's clearly a flight risk.
Okay, but that's also a thing too.
Yeah.
I think if I'm Diddy, I'm working with the feds to say at least, hey, I have to go to LA to do business. You got to tell them where you're going to go. You don't want to make them feel like they have to rush an investigation or rush, the prosecutor's got to rush this grand jury stuff. And if they feel like you were trying to evade them, like if all of a sudden Diddy gets on a jet and the jet says, our flight plan is from LA and we're going to motherfucking, I don't know, the Philippines. I don't know if they have an extradition treaty there. Maybe not.
They do. But if you go to Russia, that's where Edward Snowden is. The guy that leaked all the military secrets. That's where...
he ain't locked up?
Huh?
He's not locked up?
No, he's in Russia. He lives in Russia. He's able to walk around free in Russia. If he goes back to America, he'll be arrested.
Oh,
Same thing with, I believe, Steven Seagal. He had, I believe, some rape charges or whatever else. He went to Russia. He lives in Russia.
No, Steven Seagal's back here.
No.
You're lying.
No, Steven Seagal's been in Russia the whole time. From what I understand, I may be wrong, but this is what I've heard for years.
Steve, the guy who's in the movies, like doing all this like, he's just in Russia?
He's in Russia.
Really?
That's what people do when they know that they're about to get arrested and they have to go someplace where they can't be extradited.
No, it won't be here.
The U.S. is not going to invade Russia to pull Diddy out, to take him back to
No, of course not.
They pulled that shit on bin Laden in Pakistan. But that's Pakistan, and it's also somebody who committed the greatest terrorist attack in U.S. history. See, Russia's already has declared that the U.S. is an enemy. There is no possible way that the U.S. will try to get Diddy out of Russia if he's charged with a bunch of crimes that are just involving a few women as opposed to the killing of thousands of people.
But Vlad, okay, let's bring it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Why do you think that might even be something on the table? Or we're being hypothetical here. Why are you really thinking that, hey, whenever they come get him, this is a lifetime thing?
It might be. Look at Harvey Weinstein in jail right now. Yeah, he got a mistrial and he's going to have to redo the court case, whatever else, but he's been in jail the whole time. Diddy does not want to be Harvey Weinstein. Bill Cosby was in jail. I mean, he got out, but he was in jail. Convicted over some shit he should have been convicted over because the deal was already made. This happens. And when you're an older man, who wants to spend their 50s and 60s in a jail cell when you're a billionaire?
Yo, I'm confused by what I see. And you tell me what you think about the optics. Okay, so, and I don't think I've told people about this yet. So, I was the person who debuted the Christian Combs diss track that also dissed the feds.
Yeah.
I had that song for a week. Yeah. Someone who I know who comes to the studio who's friends with someone else that's in the circle of Christian Combs was like, hey, he wants to release a track. And the whole time I'm saying, you're lying to me. You know how sometimes people try to get close to you by like, oh, no, I could get you a future interview, Vlad. And you're like, really? Can you? And you're like, yeah, fuck with me. So now you're fucking with them. You never get a future interview, but they're like cool with you. I'm thinking this is what it is. Like, you want to drop a song. They gave me one day, said, we're going to send you the song. Don't get the song. They then sent me the song eventually. And even then I'm like, they're not even giving me instructions like, drop it then. Actually, they even told me, you want to wait till like next week. And I remember like the time I think I dropped it during the Drake thing because it was random. I was just like, I low-key thought it was AI. I have the track. I heard it. He's saying, anybody who say no Diddy, suck my dick. You better not say that in my face. The feds, they thought they got the right house, but they didn't get the one next door. I'm listening to this. I'm like, this gotta be AI. Okay. Yeah. So one random day, I just like play it. He didn't tell me to play that day. It was like one random day, and I was like, that's the time Quavo sent me a song to leak. Rick Ross sent me a song to leak this in Drake, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm the exclusive guy right now. Like, maybe I could just drop something new, and I just play the song, and then I realized it's real because after it started getting traction, his team uploaded to his real page. Yeah. Because I actually hit him. I was like, yo, Christian, is this real? And man, we've like exchanged DM before. He didn't respond to me. I was like, somebody's trying to get me. Because I understand, like, someone wants to ruin my credibility by giving me an AI track that I'm claiming is real. That's why I just played it randomly. I didn't say anything. Then I see them upload it. I'm like, holy shit. When you heard that record.
I don't think Diddy approved it. I don't think his dad said, yeah, drop that shit. But Christian really has never been a viable artist.
Well,
has he?
I mean, he had a song called, well, it's not even about that. All right, hold on. Fuck the artist part. Vlad, you have an empire. I have an empire. When I hear Christian Combs talking about all these jets and Rolls Royces that he got.
They're not his, they're his dad's. Yeah.
You're enjoying the lifestyle of your dad. I don't know if they're being instructed to be like, hey, keep a cool face. Don't act like you're paranoid. If Diddy goes down, it's clipped. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's so much things that could.
Well,
Vlad.
They're not going to take all his money.
Vlad, come on now.
There's going to be a lot of money still
Vlad.
around, even if he goes to prison.
No, Vlad, think about this. And we've seen this before too. We're talking about the feds. Think about Murder Inc. You know all about this. You're telling me that there's so many civil suits pending. There's possible, if he's found guilty of certain things, maybe restitution and other things have to be paid. They're saying that this is a RICO case.
Are they? Well, are they? We don't know.
Well, we don't know. But we're guessing.
Yeah.
There is a possibility that they're going to attack his funds. Also, here's the thing. His only chance is this money. You never know. This is feds. They might also say, let's bring the IRS into it as well. All I guess I'm saying is that it's a possibility the money becomes the subject or becomes...
It's a lot of money, though, man. And a lot of money, and I'm sure a lot of it's been hidden away at this point. And
you think so?
Put in Swiss bank accounts and everything.
I heard there were properties in like his mom's name and his kids.
Yeah, there's stuff in other people's names. There's stuff in trust. There's people that he probably fucks with. Like, for example, not everyone is turned on Diddy. Like Big Paulie, his actual head of security. Because Roger Bonds was the head of security for out of town. When Diddy was in New York, it was Big Paulie, who's never spoken at all.
Has he flipped? Is he still with him?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, and he'll never speak. No interviews, no comments, nothing. And he's done some dirt. When I say dirt, he's had to like rough people up for Diddy and whatever else. And
he knows where the skeletons are buried.
He knows where the skeletons are buried. He's never done an interview ever.
Wow.
So
have you reached out to him?
No, and I won't. It's a waste of time.
Let me ask you, how much so when I watched you with the Tupac thing, I felt you were doing, of course, interviews. You're an entertainer. You get entertaining interviews, but there was sort of a investigative portion that you were trying to use what you knew and use what other people have told you to try to get to at least a possible working theory that was more credible than what was out there already.
Yeah.
This Diddy thing, is that your goal?
I mean, it's going to be part of it. If you listen to the interview with Roger Bonds, there is a number of other women that Diddy physically abused beyond Cassie. There was his private chef, Jordan. Like I heard, I heard actual voicemails of her describing what happened. And it was like basically Diddy picked her up and threw her out of the house like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
She was his private chef. And I talked to people at Bad Boy, and they're like, yeah, she was around for a long time. His assistant, he beat up. This other girl, Cassie's best friend, he threw a coat hanger.
Are we talking about Tiffany Red or someone else?
No. It's something else. A different girl.
Some of these things you're mentioning, I've never heard. Like, how do you know about this?
Roger Bonds told me about it.
Really?
And they're mentioned in the lawsuits as well. They mentioned the lawsuits. Like he got angry and threw a wooden coat hanger at Cassie's best friend's head. It's this white girl who was like a model as well, and she got a concussion, and she sued Diddy, I think, for like $50,000, and I guess that was around the time that her and Cassie unfollowed each other on Instagram and took off all their pictures because I guess Cassie didn't take her side. She took Diddy's side. And she was like, "Oh, you're supposed to be my friend, and this man just abused me, and you're just gonna sit around and act like nothing's happened." So there was this long history of him. There was an instance on a boat where Diddy punched what's her name? His first
Misa?
No, not Misa. The one who died.
Kim Porter.
Kim Porter. Yeah, he punched her in the nose and flew with a plastic surgeon to get her nose fixed. And there's a picture with like a bandage over her nose. And it would happen on a yacht. Roger wasn't there, but when they got off the yacht, he was there. And the story was, oh, she fell. And that type of shit. So he has a long history of beating up on women, and now there's actually coming to light.
Okay, how do you deal with this situation? So while you're interviewing these people,
Yeah.
some of these people could be material witnesses.
Yes.
Are you also asking them like, hey, has the feds contacted you? Or you're asking this on camera or off camera, be like, hey, listen, whether you can say it or not, it's up to you. But are you part of? Because I think everybody believes Cassie's part of it.
I did ask Roger if he's called to take the stand in Diddy's criminal case. Would he do it? He said yes. I asked him that point blank. So now that's on tape. Whether he takes the stand is ultimately going to come down to whether he takes the stand. But I'm not here to lock anybody up. I'm not here to have justice served. I'm here to tell a story. And whatever happens is whatever happens.
I've heard you say this about the whole Diddy situation, but I wonder if your thoughts change after seeing that video. Or maybe you're just like, let me not even harp back on this story because it doesn't matter. Look at this video, which is heinous. You mentioned that you knew a friend that basically said, hey, listen, not everything that happened with Cassie was pretty much like she wasn't with it. Like she was into certain things.
It was Roger Bonds.
Okay. All right. But okay, so now hearing that she might have been maybe okay or liked or maybe consented to certain freaky things that they were doing. When you see the video of her trying to like sneak away from him and like him like clobbering her over the head, do you then be like, yeah, I shouldn't even say that because that makes the story looks like she was with everything.
But both could be true.
Okay, true.
Right? You could be people that stay in abusive relationships. Those relationships aren't abusive 100% of the time. It might just be 1% of the time. 99% of the time, you have a great relationship with the person. It's loving, it's caring, it's, you get to live a lifestyle that you want, everything else like that. And then that 1% of the time, you rub that person, you say the wrong thing, and the person fucking snaps. And that's what you see on that video. Nobody chained Cassie to a wall and said that you will be my sex slave. You're in a dungeon. You hear real stories about this. There was some crazy dude in like Germany who kidnapped his daughter and kept her in a basement and raped her, and they had kids. And it's like you hear really crazy shit like this.
Cassie put out a statement though, which would make many believe that, hey, look at the violence that he did on camera. Yeah. I was scared of this guy. When I did run away, he would have people come get me back. As much as you think I'm a willing participant at any time, and by the way, you know who I talked to as well? I talked to Bradford Cohen, one of the biggest hip hop defense attorneys. He's represented Kodak Black. Mm-hmm. He's represented so many people in the Florida area, and he said, when I seen Cassie put out a particular statement and I seen the video come out, I'm a defense attorney. To me, what that means is that she needs, or not needs, but she wanted to make it abundantly clear that she was under duress while all these things are happening, because it's most likely the feds who are now building the case against Diddy are probably saying, well, we get it, Diddy's a target, but who's the people who recruited these people? And she might be a part of it. Yeah. So she's probably going to be what's called an unindicted co-conspirator.
Yeah.
So that kind of restores her victimhood in the eyes of people when you see that video.
Look, if you read, when I interviewed Roger Bonds, I literally went through the whole lawsuit, the Cassie lawsuit, line by line. At one point, after some abuse situation, she left, went to Florida or something, and she said that James Cruz, who I know, I worked with him. He was Diddy's manager for like 10 years or something. He worked at SRC when I was at SRC, so I know him very well. I've had good experiences with James. I also had negative experiences with James. So, I'm not here protecting anybody or whatever else. And he's been on my platform. He's done an interview. Not about this. So, in the lawsuit, it said that James reached out to her and said, you haven't been answering all of Diddy's calls. Your single is not going to come out unless you reconnect with Diddy. So, for the longest time, Cassie, in her own mind, was thinking that she has a real record, career on her hands, and Diddy's really going to be the person that turns her into a star, a superstar, because she only really had one single, Me and You, which she made before Diddy even showed up. That was her and Ryan Leslie. She had a little long way to go, but no, that wasn't a big song. It was really, she just had one big song. And for 10 years, and I talked to people at Bad Boy. She was treated like most other artists at Bad Boy, where she was given her chance. She was sent to the studio. She had collabs with people like Kid Cudi, the whole car blowing up and everything else like that. Other artists would go in, other producers. She had her chance. I don't think she was ever honest enough with herself to say, maybe I'm just not that talented of an artist. Anyone could have a hit. You could have a number one song right now. If the right producer, writer, tattoo artist, stylist comes in and you just hit that right nerve with the right, like
at the right time.
The $1 Million Baby song.
Yeah.
Just came out of nowhere. This guy's been around for 10 years. Suddenly he's got the number one song in the country. It's sort of a weird song that doesn't really match a genre, but look, it worked. Everyone loved it. Number one song. Will we have another one? Who knows? She had that. And it's great that she did. But for 10 years, she stuck around realistically thinking that there's going to be she's going to be a big superstar, which she wasn't. She liked the lifestyle.
Clearly.
She had an apartment in LA, apartment in New York. When I saw her out, I ran into her before. She had a brand new Rolex on. She had nice clothes. She never flew coach. She probably flies private. Probably had an expense account. She liked the lifestyle. And I talked to someone who said that she was trying to convince someone who I know to get Diddy to marry her. She wanted to be married to Diddy. The relationship was probably good a lot of the time. But when it got bad, it got bad. But she decided to stay. Diddy can't physically bring her back. If she leaves and says, I don't want to come back, fuck you, I'm changing my number, what could he do? He can't kidnap her. Not in America, some third world country somewhere. He can't, if she decides to go and not come back and says, I'm really done with it, which eventually she was. Remember when she married, when she got with her husband at the time and she had kids, that was it. It was over. She chose to stay, but it's not going to be painted that way. It's going to be painted like somehow she's a prisoner, which is not exactly true. You got to take a step back. Was she abused? Absolutely. Was she abused 100% of the time? Probably not. There were times. She could have stayed, but she could have left, but she decided to stay. And you have to take a certain level of responsibility for this. We've all stayed in bad relationships that we felt we should get out of. And you have a bad fight, and you're like, fuck this, fuck her, I'm never going back to her, it's over, whatever. And then things calm down, and the next day you have
That's a fact, man. You speaking to the choir right now.
You have a good day the next day, and you're like, okay, well, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe that's not going to happen again. And then, some time passes, and a week, two passes, and then it happens again. And then I've been there. I've been there. And I think that's probably what was happening there. Was he abusive? Yes. Did they take drugs together? Yes. And a lot of it, based on this conversation with Roger Bonds, they were both junkies at one point. Yeah. They were both popping pills. He would sometimes get the pills from him. They would pop pills. They would go through these drug binges that would last 2-3 days. Then they would all get IVs on Monday to try to recover.
Yeah, I remember during the pandemic, I seen Diddy with one of those IV things. And I was just like, and I'm like.
No, it's a... So you got to think that a lot of these situations are drug-fueled. Everyone's out of their fucking mind. He's out of his mind. She's out of his mind. They got male escorts that are on drugs. Like, who the fuck knows what's happening in these closed rooms? But it's, it's established he's gone to rehab. Like, these are addicts. So you got to take this into account as well and say, when I saw that tape, it was hideous and it was fucked up. And there's no excuse for that on any level. Was she abusive as well? She kind of probably fought back at certain times and everything else like that. You can't really be that abusive as a woman to a man. But she stuck around because there was a lot of upsides. Her parents were taken care of by Diddy. He would send them on vacations and probably gave them money and stuff like that. So her parents were somehow okay with this as well in their own way. So there's more to this story. And in my point of view, it seemed like the music career sort of was the umbrella that held it all together.
I agree.
And if she would have said one day, listen, I had a hit and I'm happy to get it, but really,
it ain't gonna work.
We've tried it over and over again, and it's a pipe dream that he's trying to sell me that I'm sorry not to believe myself. Because look, once she left Diddy, was there a bidding war over Cassie?
Nah.
Was any label?
Even though he did sign to like 10 albums, which is wild.
But he would have signed. I'm sure if she said, listen, Atlantic Records is interested in me, let me out of this fucking deal. I'm sure with all the dirt she's had on him, I'm sure it's not going to be a big deal for, he tried to hold on to Mace, but Mace was more of a viable artist. You see what I'm saying? I'm sure if another label said, listen, we think that you're a superstar, we're going to sign you to an album deal, get us to release from Puffy, I'm sure it would have been fairly easy to do. But there was no bidding war over her. She has retired from everything at this point. She's just a mom now. There's nothing wrong with that, but had she realized 2 years in, like, okay, I'm not really a singer like that. I just managed to luck up on a hit.
Yeah.
Let me be real with myself. I had to tell myself one day, I'm not going to be a great producer. I spent years making beats in my bedroom. And I said, I'm not that great. Let me try DJing. Okay, DJing, I'm actually kind of great. You gotta know how to quit and know how to pivot. And people who hold on to things too long, and I know that when you have a Diddy behind you and you have access to studios and you have the Kid Cudis coming in or whatever, but none of these songs are reacting year after year after year after year after year. Yeah. Whereas you see all your peers blowing up. You got to be real with yourself. And had she been real with herself early on, she could have been like, okay, the lifestyle's cool, but this whole career shit he's doing is some bullshit. I'm out. Could have saved herself a lot of heartache.